Before I share screen, just to give you an introduction, today I'll be talking about a designer's journey into the future of design. So I understand that in the participants here today, some of you are prospective students who are thinking into going into design, and I also understand there's invited guests, fellow design practitioners, as well as other professionals from other industry. So welcome you all. Hope you all can gain some knowledge from this sharing from today's session. Um, okay, let me share my screen. Just give me a minute. Okay, so today's topic we are going to talk about is a designer's journey into the future of design. I will give you a look into how the design is evolving and what we are going to look at coming into the future. I'll be sharing this through some of my personal experiences so that you can see my journey. The design is me. Okay, so you can see my journey through design um, and then how we will move forward, right? So before we begin, if you are going to look forward, we need to look back, right? So what does dinosaurs and designers have in common? Quite hard to answer, right? Okay, basically to me, they all started at the same time, right? They all started way back, even designers. Designers is probably one of the oldest professions. Okay, so this is our very first designer. His name is Ugg. Okay, he's a caveman and he's quite multi-talented like modern day designers. He's kindly shared with me his portfolio. Uh, he was a hunter in the day, but by night time, he's a freelance designer and he does creative work like interior design, designing wallpapers on the cave walls for his neighbors. He also do illustrated children's book, okay, so that you know when the parents read stories to their kids, there's pictures to support the stories. Somehow the stories are all about animals, and somehow it's all about the animals getting eaten at the end. But the children seems to like it. Okay, he was actually the original, probably the original creator of the Avengers Hawkeye. As you can see, there's some proof there that he actually drew Hawkeye way back then in his time. But something happened. Okay, something happened. Way back then, something happened. Okay. As we all know, it was believed that a huge comet hit the Earth, and that was one of the main cause of dinosaurs going extinct. Okay, it kicked up a huge cloud of dust, blocked out the sun, and that affected the plant life, and in the end, dinosaur life especially. Dinosaurs being so big, they need a lot of food, and they were probably the most affected creatures on Earth back then. But fortunately, our Mr. Caveman Ugg, being a designer back then, he was able to design a safety helmet because he was also a product designer. Okay, so he designed a coconut helmet, put it on his head, and he was spared from the effects of the meteor crash. And since then to today, the rest is history. So he continually evolved, and what we have today is the modern day designers look much better, right? And he still sports headgear. Okay, today he wears a coconut fedora, just like me. So what's the moral of this story? The moral of this story is that there will be change and there will be disruptions, especially for designers. We are very, very sensitive to changes um, because we are so intertwined with the other industries that we work with. The thing with designers is that we support industries all around us. So if something happens in the food and beverage industry, uh, we are also affected. If something happens in the finance industry, we are also affected because we as designers support these industries in terms of the communications and creative. So if I were to draw a model, um, where we stand today, we could call this world version 1.0, and we will have world problems version 1.0 version of problems, right? Designers, creatives will come in, you have your innovative ideas and way of approaching them, and you'll propose and come up with solutions suitable to address the version 1.0 problems. So we get version 1.0 solutions. And this is called adaptation. We will continually tweak ourselves to adapt to the changes or the new requirements in order to come up with solutions. That's what we are good at. I mean, designers are, in a way, problem solvers. And this will keep looping, okay? And then new problem 1.0s will come out. Designers will readapt ourselves, and then we will change and come up with new solutions. But once in the blue moon, something drastic will happen, just like how the comet came and hit the Earth and wiped out the dinosaurs. Something drastic will happen, and this comet in today's terms is called disruption. Okay, we have already seen quite a number of disruptions in our time, but when this happens, we are to world version 2.0. Okay, and solutions and innovation that we came out at world version 1.0 does not quite work anymore, and we need to change. And we don't even need to, it's not a matter of just adapting, we need to totally transform, okay? And this process is called evolution, okay? We need to evolve. Evolution will allow us to change and move from version 1 to version 2 and version 3 and so on. So likewise, once we move into version world 2.0, the whole cycles will start again. Problems version 2.0 will come up. We designers will come up with innovative solutions, adapt ourselves to changes, and come up with solutions 2.0. And the whole cycle repeats itself over and over again. And if you pull this backwards and look at it on a bigger scale, this happens over and over and over again. Okay? So we have seen this in the past. It has happened before. Okay? There have been 3 major industrial revolutions. The first being in the 1965, we call it the first industrial revolution. That was when steam was discovered that it could be used to power machinery. So the first industrial revolution was the mechanical revolution, where machine starts to get developed. That changes a lot of things. Because prior to that era, everything was done manual. If you talk about the printing press was invented way before the first industrial revolution. And at that time, printing press was using manual power, right? You literally had to press the template onto the paper, apply the ink, and so that we have a printed piece of copy, and then we repeat. Once the crossover into the mechanical era, machines took over that. Okay, mechanical gears, so humans don't have to actually do the manual work. So that made a big change, and that caused some jobs to be redundant, right? And this went on for quite some time, 1 whole century. And then the second industrial comet hit, okay? That was the second industrial revolution, sometime in 1870s. This was when electricity was invented. At first it was steam, now it was electricity. And with electricity, a lot of electronic products came to be. Things, simple devices such as the telephone, the light bulb, and transportation improved from the steam train to airplanes and the basic automobiles. So that's when all these things starts coming about. And that also changed a lot of things. Now, machinery really starting to take over, and manufacturing started to kick off. And when manufacturing kicks off, the entire economy really starts getting more vibrant. Okay, again, new jobs are created, old jobs are killed. And the third industrial revolution happened quite relatively recently, 1969, around there. Okay, this was the era where the computers, the microchips, the logic boards were invented. Okay, with that came along a lot of modern day electronics that you know today. And in fact, some of us, I think most of us here would be living, sometime in this era. I myself slightly later, I was born slightly later, but we will live through this whole era, and some say we're still in it. Okay, so throughout history, we can see that um, the civilization has been transforming, and there have been comets after comets of disruptions, and with each disruption came major changes. Um, and if we do not evolve, we will be at the risk of being extinct. Okay, and we will not be able to progress, and we will not be relevant. So, coming back to the topic of today's talk, I'm sharing with you this topic and looking into the future from a designer's perspective. So from here on, I would like to share my personal journey as a designer and to show how I myself have experienced some major disruptions along the way and how uh, I have adapted myself and evolved along the way to get to where I am today. I hope this shares some insight and some inspiration. And then we discuss moving forward, how can we uh, take, work on design as a graphic designer, or how the landscape of design is going to be like in the future. Okay, so my personal journey of being a designer started back in the university. In fact, I was not even studying design. Back then, I was studying animal biology in the science faculty. So I have a degree in animal biology, not in graphic design. Okay, but it was in my university years that I started getting interested in design. From the first club publication that I did back then. Then shortly after that, I got my first freelance project, which was this one. It was actually a rock climbing competition, you know, organized by a club, external club, and this was my first paying job. So it was my first big break. And that was back in 1999. If you look at the design, I mean, look at it, you probably think now it's so simple, nothing fantastic, you know. Yes, but you must remember back then, uh, when internet was at dial-up 59.6 kilobytes, to download large images actually was also a challenge. So there's a lot of reasons why the visuals and the design here was uh, much simpler, more graphic based rather than image based, because it was really, really hard to download images back then. So for myself, where I started my journey um, till the next stage was a very short period, because very soon after, just after I graduated, there was the dot-com boom. Okay, for those who are my era, you remember that there was a time when the internet started to explode. Okay, everybody started want to develop a portal for email, a portal for cars, a portal for this and a portal for that. Portal was the key word. Okay, we don't talk about that now anymore, but back then everything was about portals, right? So I started my journey as a graphic designer, designing posters and invitation cards and things like that for the event. But I was very quickly thrown into this dot-com boom. And dot-com boom being in the digital era, digital arena, so a lot of my creative had to switch. Okay, so these are some of the past works that was done back in the day. So it was a very early work. If you look at it now, it will fail UI design because it's totally not what we can accept in today's context. But I'm just sharing with you so that you can see how I have evolved along the way. So after going through the dot-com boom, I decided to go back to my roots. Okay, so I decided to go back to polish my fundamentals, and I went back to a design agency where we did publication work. Okay, so this is where I went back to work on layouts, creative concepts, and things like that. We did a lot of annual reports, as well as corporate brochures and marketing materials for a lot of clients, okay, for government to private clients. And back then, this was during this time, I experienced my first encounter with a fellow designer, who was actually my boss back then, uh, who eventually became a dinosaur in the creative field. Okay, he didn't want to change. So let me share what happened. When I was working at this agency, my boss, who himself was a designer, uh, oversaw our work. And when we came up with concepts for proposals, for example, annual reports, we were very into annual reports production. So when we came up with proposals for annual report productions and we had to create the artwork for the proposal, this particular boss of mine would tell us, go to the library, find pictures that you think is suitable, and then photo stack, and then bring the Photoshop page out and use it in the artwork. As you know, it's going to be really, really hard work to find the perfect image that you need going to a library, flipping through books. Back at that time, digital cameras were starting to enter the scene. I mean, it came in at about like 3.2 megapixel, very low resolution in today's standard, but back then it was quite good. Okay, it was quite good. And the best part was that it didn't rely on film and we could take as many photos as we can. I mean, that's the benefit of a digital camera. So I shared with my boss about how about using a digital camera, and we try to set up the shot and take it as how we would like it to be. Because this way we have full control of the entire output of the image, rather than trying to go to the library to look for the image that is in the exact position, exact composition that we want for our layout, which was so my boss back then was showing signs of becoming a dinosaur because he refused to let us do that. He said, no, that's not the way to go. I've been doing this going to the library, searching for images, copying the photo, bringing back, going to Photoshop, age out, and then using it in the layout. And then we compose different things together to get the composition. We will do it that way. And it has been working because I've been getting a lot of jobs and I have I can own a whole office of my own. So it is working. But it was going to be a challenge because deep down in my heart, I felt that our competitors would be moving into digital photography to get photos created and crafted and composed exactly how they want it for the proposals. And their proposals will be much better than the one that we have because ours will be a lot of cut and paste effect, which would not look good. So at the end, I mean, long story short, he did not change. He refused to change. When I left the company, he was still using his old method. And 2 years down, when I went back to, when I walked past the office, he has already closed. So I moved on. I carried on my design career, but he has closed. So this is an example of designers who refuse to change. You'll go the way of the dinosaurs. So just very quickly moving forward, I'm showing you some of the other works. When I left the company, I went into another agency where they were very into F&B. So for me, it was a big change from designing books, publications, to doing F&B work. And F&B work actually goes into a lot of things. You go into packaging. Yes, you have your publications like your menus, but you go into packaging. You go into invitation cards, posters, promotional posters, as well as branding for the restaurants. And I even had the opportunity to even go into the interior styling of the restaurant, which was totally different from doing a publication book. But it was new, and I had to adapt. And I learned and allowed myself to this opportunity, and these are some of the things that we created. Food, and more food, right? It's always about food. The Asians are all about food. So here's another example of another trying food, a small food cafe. But for this one, the interesting part was that I had the opportunity to go into a technical layout design. I mean, as creative, we always talk about normally the aesthetics, the communication materials, but we never look at designers can also produce technical drawings like that. Over here, this huge white artwork here is actually a technical drawing of the kitchen layout. Okay, because the client needed to have a planning of the kitchen, which fits all the necessary legal requirements and to showing all the trunking, the piping as electrical flow and everything. So I had the opportunity to do this as well. Did I have experience? No, but I had to adapt and then I had to grow. Okay, and from here, at least I gain experience. With each adaptation, we will grow. It's not experience that's going to be wasted, because from here onwards, then my next client, when they launch a new restaurant, I mean, apart from advising them on the creative aspects of the brand, I can also value add to them by sharing with them my inputs when I see the kitchen, and that makes them see value in me, and it helps, make me more valuable to the client.